Hey, sports fans, good day. It's another Saturday, day before the 4th of July, and, 2 days before the 4th of July. Hope everyone's having a wonderful weekend. You have your barbecues all set up to go. This is Tom Pollen on Atlanta Sports Unlimited with Jackson Pigskins Saturday, morning or afternoon, depending on where you are. I know our producer, Chris Smitherman, is now I guess this qualifies as morning for him now. It used to be afternoon. But we're doing great. It's going to be great to see all of you today. Before we get going on our tour of the NFC South, and we covered the Buccaneers last week, started with the Saints, and I think we're going to continue with the Saints and go into the Panthers. Not a whole lot of other news in the NFL this week, but I think there's a lot to say about the Falcons' rivals in the NFC South. But before we get going, we're going to make a mention of the sponsor of our show today is Prize Picks. Prize Picks will match your initial deposit up to $100. And there is plenty to go on Prize Picks. You got a lot of different prop bets that you can place. Use the code ASU. It supports the show, supports everything here on Atlanta Sports Unlimited. So, if I just looked at Prize Picks the other day, they are ready. They've already got NFL prop picks up for the 2022 season. So, go on, take a look, start studying your picks, and get yourself ready for NFL football, because this is July. We got training camps coming up this month. Amazing, isn't it? And we have preseason football next month, and then we will be ready to kick off the season, and we're going to have a lot of fun this season, 2022. Even if the Falcons do fall a little bit, comparing them to what I've been seeing with the other competition in the NFC South, I think the Falcons are in a good position to actually compete in this division this year. Not win it. I still think the Bucs are too good, unless Father Time catches up to Tom Brady, which is always a problem. So, we'll see how Tom Brady comes out, if he still has any skills or if he's ready to go. We're going to, let's put it this way. If Tom Brady isn't ready and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have to go with Blaine Gabbert for any extended period in 2022, it is going to be a train wreck in Tampa. So, but we looked at that last week. Buccaneers did a great job of replacing a lot of their pieces that they lost during the offseason. The New Orleans Saints, I am not as high on as a lot of people seem to be going into the season, going into training camp. Have the new head coach, Dennis Allen, but Dennis Allen, now he hasn't been very successful as a head coach, was head coach for 2 seasons and 4 games in Oakland with the Raiders. Yeah, I said Oakland. That's when they were in Oakland. But you can't necessarily blame him for a lot of that when you look at the fact of the rosters that he had to work with. Not a lot of strong rosters. He did have Carson Palmer in his first year, but Palmer was a year away from meeting Bruce Arians and coming back in his career and recovering as an NFL quarterback. Allen had to start, Matt McGloin in his second year, which is not a good situation for anybody. I don't care if you're Bill Belichick. When you have to start somebody named McGloin as your quarterback, you're not going to be in very good shape going into the season. Third year after 4 games of Derek Carr as his number 1 draft pick, dumped. The Raiders had enough. They fired him. Now he's going to get his second chance with the Saints. So we looked a bit at the Saints defense last week, and it's a good defense. There are some issues. They're kind of replacing their safeties. They do have a strong cornerback unit, but with Marcus May is coming off his Achilles tear and signing free safety Tyrann Mathieu, it's almost at a point where the Saints are, it's questionable whether how those two come together in 2022. An Achilles tear is not easy to come back from, so you have to look at Marcus May. You don't know whether he's a strength or a weakness yet. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Saints safeties on defense pan out. Now, on offense, we didn't look at offense last week. This is an offense that decided to re-sign Jameis Winston. Probably the best move that they could have done. I don't see how they could have made any other advantages with Jameis. They do have other problems on offense, though. In the draft, they took at number 1, took wide receiver Chris Olave and tackle Trevor Penning to replace Terron Armstead and give Jameis an extra weapon that he can throw to during the in that offense. It's going to be a Pete Carmichael offense. He's staying on with being the offensive coordinator this year. So, but the issue is, to me, Mickey Loomis panicked when he went and got Chris Olave. He was in the 16th spot in the draft, and what we came up with, he saw 2 wide receivers go, Drake London, of course, and saw 2 straight wide receivers go in the top 10, decided he couldn't wait, and climbed back up into, let's see, where did he? Took Penny 11th, I believe. No, climbed up to 12 to take Penny from 16. To take Olave from 6. I'll get it right. All right, that's a first crash on the show into the wall this week. But again, forgot to mention, Dave Holcomb is still on his honeymoon. He is in Europe. If you can take a look at his Facebook page, he's been posting plenty of pictures. So he and his wife are in Europe. So that means every now and then I'm going to crash the show. I just did. But we're going to come back onto the track. I think Mickey Loomis, in an effort to not say the word rebuild, which nobody seems to want to say in the NFL right now, gave up a lot to get a wide receiver and a tackle. And tackle's iffy, especially the left tackle, especially a rookie left tackle. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. Penning does have a lot of strengths, does project out to be a pretty strong prospect. But you look at what the Falcons, the Saints gave up. They gave up round 1. They gave up their 16th pick, gave up their 18th pick, who both ended up being wide receivers, by the way. Round 3 gave up 98th pick and their 101st pick. Round 4, 20th pick, and round 7, number 237. Plus, they gave up a 2023 first round pick, 2024 round 2 pick. And all of that ended up turning into Chris Olave and Penning. So, to me, that's panic. And I said it earlier in the season when the Philadelphia Eagles picked up, I think, they picked up one of the Saints' first round picks. Loomis did not leave himself a lot of room for error when it comes to building or keeping a solid core around the veteran unit that he expects to take him to the playoffs this year, that he expects Dennis Allen to take to the playoffs this year. Because right now, going into 2022 on offense, you're looking at the Saints with Jameis Winston, who is now 28. He is not a young quarterback anymore. He's at a point where he should have established himself as a top quarterback. He really has not. Sean Payton was able to do some things with him last year, but kind of took the bite out of Winston's game. Winston is he likes to strike downfield, but the problem is when he tries to strike downfield, he's just as capable of throwing an interception as he is a touchdown pass. So, however, that's his game. And that's kind of again, second crash of the day. It's not his game to stay short. You're kind of taking him. You're almost, keeping him from doing what he does best. So, and then you have. They did pick up Jarvis Landry. However, Landry has not been able to stay healthy. So the last season, Landry finished the season on injured reserve for the Browns. So you don't know what you have coming up with Jarvis Landry. He had hip surgery in February of 2020 to fix a 2019 injury, a hip injury. Then he had a knee sprain last season. This is not a healthy receiver. This is not a guy who you can count on, plug in, and say automatically that Jarvis Landry is going to be your man in 2022. And another problem they have is Michael Thomas. Thomas really hasn't played effective football in 2 seasons since he was Player of the Year in 2019. 2020 only played 7 games, then delayed surgery on his high ankle sprain until the following June to repair those ligaments, missed 2021, and now, the word is that he's healthy and he's making cuts. He did go on Instagram over this, last week, showed himself making cuts, showed himself making some moves. But a high ankle sprain, this is not an easy thing to come back from. So Dennis Allen's going to have 2 receivers who, at full health, are some of the best in the NFL. But 2 receivers who we don't know what we're going to see out of coming up in 2022. With Thomas, a high ankle sprain is not an easy thing to come back from. Ligament tears, ligament damage is not an easy thing to come back from that you have if you have to fix that. And I know Falcons fans remember back, about 3 or 4 years ago, Devontae Freeman was injured. I believe injured his knee, injured ACL, and tried to, and started showing Instagram about how well he was recovering, how well he was doing, how well, how things were progressing with his rehab, but he was never the same running back. I wonder if Michael Thomas, I'm not so confident that he's going to come back as the same running back. I know the Saints have pie in the sky visions that Thomas will be back, that they think that Landry's healthy, but Dennis Allen, I think he's hoping against hope that he gets these guys, because if you look at the Saints roster, there really isn't a lot left for them to work with if these guys aren't ready to play. And I don't think they're ready to play. So, and another problem the Saints have going into next season is Alvin Kamara, who was arrested after the Pro Bowl at Allegiant Stadium last year. Video shows him punching a man and stomping on him while he was on the ground. And he is charged with felony assault. Now, the NFL hasn't come out to say what they're going to do about this. They usually like to wait until the cases are adjudicated, things have gone through the courts. Then they'll find out whether they want to make a move or when they'll make a move. But right now, it's expected that Ingram is going to come up with a 6-game suspension. And it's very possible. The only problem is, when is it going to come? When does the court case finish, and when does the NFL take the time to consider his case and mete out the punishment for what he did? Does Kamara stay out of jail? I mean, this is a felony charge. He is caught on videotape really just beating the heck out of this guy. The guy's filed a civil suit. And this is a terrible situation for the Saints again, because they're so iffy on offense as it is, and with the health of their wide receivers. You're asking the Saints now to kind of settle back and rely on Mark Ingram again. And we've already seen Ingram. He's made a couple of Pro Bowls. He's had some decent seasons. But I don't think at this point in his career, at 33 years old, he's the guy you want to be hanging your running game off of. So, and as far as, we do try and get into fantasy football every now and, on this. I lost a second. I know Kamara lost my internet again. Here we are again. I know Kamara is a player that everybody has at the top of their draft list that they would like to see, as their number 1, number 2 pick at running back. But he might not be available, might not be around. I know everybody's looking at the NFL as far as what suspension Kamara might get. I'm wondering if Kamara can stay away from jail time for this. So because it's that serious. So it's going to be interesting to see. Keep an eye on this situation going forward, because, it's going to be a huge letdown for the Saints offense if they don't have him. Because again, as I say, you're counting on two wide receivers who really aren't healthy to come back and be there with the rookie and put together a passing game that's going to be effective. But right now, you're looking at Mark Ingram at running back, Dwayne Washington, Tony Jones. These aren't guys you want to be hanging your running game off of going into the season. And again, this is another reason why I think that the Saints are not really ready to be a contender this year, even though they were 9-8 last year and only missed the playoffs because they lost to the Eagles. They lost in head-to-head. So the Eagles went to the playoffs at 9-8. The Saints went home. But this is not a situation when you're going into a season where you were 20th in passer rating last year, and fourth in defensive passer rating. That's why I say the Saints have the defense to be able to actually contend. They do have the defense to be a playoff team. They have a defense that's going to be dangerous for the Falcons in 2022. But you look at points per yard scored, they were 15th in the league last year on offense, 14.2 points for every yard of 14.2 yards for every point of offense that they scored, which means that it took them 99.4 yards of offense to score the equivalent to 7 points. Not bad. You're around average, but if you're going to contend in the NFL, you got to be a lot better than that. You have to be taking advantage of that defense. And it's obvious the Saints didn't do that. The Saints on defense gave up a point for every 16.1 yards of offense by their opponents, which means opponents needed the equivalent of 112.7 yards to put up 7 points. That means your offense isn't taking advantage of anything. Your defense is giving you some prime position. Your defense is getting the ball turned back over to you. Your defense is stopping guys on third down. You're getting your offense back on the field, but you're not doing anything with that offense. It's an average offense last year. It might not be even that good this year. So take a look at that, and we're going to keep an eye on that situation going into training camp, because taking a rookie wide receiver and jumping up to take a rookie wide receiver doesn't mean that the Saints have fixed this offense. And I think they may have taken a step backwards on offense, especially if Kamara goes down. It's going to be a bad situation. And this might be an opportunity for the Falcons to pass the Saints in the division. See, Loomis has spent so much draft capital on those two players on offense to fill two gaps that are pretty big as far as what the Saints needed, as far as Terron Armstead and fixing their adding to their receiving game. But the Falcons kind of set back. What I like about what Terry Fontenot did is the Falcons set back and let the draft come to them. I think they picked their wide receiver and defensive end backwards. I thought they should have gone defensive end, then wide receiver. However, I'm not going to argue with what they've done until we get to the regular season. Loomis kind of jumped, and looks like he didn't have confidence in what he was going to be able to pick up, and didn't have confidence in a lot of the prospects that were on the board, and tried to jump to get a couple of guys that he wanted. Fontenot sat back and let the draft come to him and got some very good players. So I like the Falcons draft a lot, and I don't think the Falcons panicked like I do believe the Saints panicked in the draft. The Saints really didn't do much. Well, they got Tyrann Mathieu in free agency and signed Jarvis Landry, but I'm not necessarily enthused about those moves as far as they're concerned. But what the Falcons were able to do is get Troy Anderson at linebacker, Arnold Ibikite as their defensive end, as the guy that they expect to be their pass rusher this year. We finally got a comment. I don't know if we've gone this far into the show for a long time without seeing a comment. What's going on, Mr. Tom? Hey, Wallace, we are doing great. It is, as I say, we have a beautiful day here in Chicago. Probably going to do some barbecuing over the weekend, and going to enjoy my weekend, my extended weekend. So I hope everybody else gets a chance to do that too. It's a special time of year, birthday of America, 4th of July. Let's enjoy it. Let's, the only thing I don't like is the fact that my neighborhood is going to sound like a war zone the next couple of nights. And my cats are very skittish when it comes to fireworks. So it's going to be a rough couple of nights for them, especially on Sunday night and Monday. But, they'll be okay. But as I say, getting back to the Saints, the Aints, I think they are the Aints coming up. And I said, without Alvin Kamara and without healthy wide receivers, I don't have faith in Michael Thomas coming back healthy. I don't have faith in Jarvis Landry staying healthy. I think it's going to be a rough year for the Saints. I think they have the defense to contend, but it isn't a very good team. I don't think it's a very good team. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out as the season comes on. And finally, in the NFC South, we have the Carolina Panthers. Boy, aren't you glad you're not a Carolina Panthers fan? Just think, you could be a Carolina Panthers fan. You just don't want to be a Carolina Panthers fan. This is a 2022 train wreck waiting to happen. All right. This is just, everything is going to fall apart for this team this year. David Tepper, their owner, has overpaid terribly for a head coach, for a quarterback, for two quarterbacks. One of them he's paying to play quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks this year. And he also has Sam Darnold, who we all knew wasn't going to be the man to hang in there for Carolina. He had a great start, but guess what, folks? Defensive coordinators in this league are not stupid. Give them about 2 or 3 games of game tape. They're going to figure out what you're doing, what you like to do, what you can't do, and still try to do. They're going to figure you out real quick. Defensive coordinators figured out Sam Darnold very quick. And after a 3-0 start, the Panthers finished 2-14. So just pathetic on their part. And part of that, as I say, you can place right on the shoulders of their ownership. Gave Matt Rule, a college coach from Baylor, He is going to be in the third year of a 7-year, $62 million deal. I would consider Matt Rule to be one of the coaches on a hot seat early this season, a coach who may not make it through the season. Yes. Yeah. Wallace, can I argue that one bit? Goes beyond bad move. It's just, it was amazing what they did there. How they ever figured that Sam Darnold was going to be the quarterback of their future, or that they were going to get more out of Sam Darnold. I guess they were trying to say that Adam Gase wasn't capable of getting anything out of Sam Darnold, and figured that Joe Brady, who they had as offensive coordinator, would be the guy who could finally bring out Darnold's talents and show the league what Sam Darnold could do as a quarterback. And Brady ended up being fired. So it didn't work out one bit for anybody last year. But one of the problems you also have with the Panthers, and we've been talking about Baker Mayfield maybe ending up with the Panthers for a while. So, but the problem with Mayfield is he's going to make $18 million next year. And the Panthers want the Browns to pay most, if not all, of that $18 million. Why? Because Sam Darnold is going to be making $18.85 million in 2022. They picked up his fifth-year option, amazingly, to bring him there. They picked up his fifth-year option. And Wallace probably was the owner wanting Darnold. I know I saw an interview David Tepper gave earlier where he kind of admitted that he made some bonehead moves, and that, running a team in the NFL isn't as easy as making money running hedge funds, which is how he got rich. And has realized that you just can't throw a lot of money at problems and expect them to be solved. I would say Matt Rule is in trouble this season. Ordinarily, I would say Matt Rule is probably not going to make it through the season. However, considering that contract, I don't know if Tepper wants to pay Matt Rule for not coaching for 4 more years after giving him a 7-year, $62 million deal. So you're stuck with a coach who can't win, a coach who can win in September, but can't do anything any other month of the year. But, a coach who can't win, or you end up paying him to sit on the sidelines, or you end up paying him to coach as he goes back to college football, and goes back to where he's more comfortable. And let's put it this way, college football, I think we're getting out of that point where NFL teams are looking into college football for their coaching candidates. It's a different game. It's a different setup. Again, you're going from the king of your campus. You are the king of that campus. You're the man when you're a college football coach. And you can go from being that, you go to the NFL, and it's a whole different game. Your players are getting paid now. They don't have to listen to you as closely if they think you're full of crap. And you just never know. And I think Panthers players, I don't think they believe in Matt Rule all that much anymore. I know if I was a player for the Panthers, I wouldn't be believing in Matt Rule very much. But, that's me. So The problem is, again, you're going to have to make a choice to living with Matt Rule or paying him to go away and starting all over again. And eventually, I think the Panthers are going to have to pay him to go away and start all over again, because I don't think Rule is going to. He may last out this season, but Carolina fans were already chanting fire Rule last year. If things start slow this year, it's going to get nasty in Carolina. It's going to get nasty in that stadium for home games. And I don't know if – I think eventually they probably are going to fire him during the season. Let's put it that way. Over under on Matt Rule. How many games does he make it into next season? I got to – that's our prop here for Jackson Pigskins. Over-unders on Matt Rule. When is he going to get fired? Does he make it? As I say, Dennis Allen made it 4 games into his 3rd season with the Raiders before getting fired. Can Matt Rule make it more than 4 games into 2022 without getting fired? Very good question. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. Wallace again. Wallace has plenty of comments to like today. I don't see Mayfield playing for Cleveland this year, and they're probably going to have to cut him and still pay him his money. That's very possible. Very possible. I think they're going to have to end up paying him his money, even if he goes to a different NFL team. And I say, the only way he goes to Carolina is if Cleveland pays the money. And right now, Cleveland doesn't want to play the money. Okay, Larry Orange has given us 5 games before Rule gets the eggs. Okay, there's our over-under on Matt Rule. Larry Orange has 5 games. I can't say I argue with you, Larry. Again, it's been a rough thing to watch the Carolina Panthers play football the last couple of years. And at least once you get out of the month of September. They've been pretty good in the month of September. But, as I say again, defensive coordinators are not stupid. Okay, they will catch up with you. And that's another problem is, they may catch up with you in college ball. They may figure you out in college ball, but they don't have the personnel on their sidelines to do something about it. NFL teams, even the worst team in the league, has the personnel on their sidelines to do something about a bad coach. If he's not able to adapt, if he's not able to make moves, if you figure out where he likes to go with the football, if you figure out what he likes to do on first down, what he likes to do on third down. Your worst NFL team has enough quality players to be able to make something happen. In college, you can get away with that. And I think Matt Rule is going to find college is just going to be so much nicer and will end up going back very quickly. As I said, I don't think very many college coaches are going to get that call from the NFL anymore to move up and take over. Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona I think is on the hot seat too. This is a guy who has started out hot the last 2 seasons and just folded like a tent in November, December of his last 2 seasons. Made the playoffs last year, looked horrible in his playoff game. And I think, the Cardinals might be looking for a coach again too. So, and maybe once Dave gets back, we'll take that up as a topic. What coaches might be on the hot seat this year, where they might go, who might be available for teams as they actually put the in front of building and say rebuilding, because Carolina, I think, is doing that right now. So you got a quarterback situation in Carolina where you got Darnold, P.J. Walker, you got third-round pick Matt Corral, or Corral, or I'm not sure how you pronounce it, Corral. I want to know how many games you think it'll be before Corral comes in as the quarterback to start for the Carolina Panthers. I don't think it's going to take long. I really don't think it's going to take long because, as I said, I think you're not going to surprise anybody with Darnold now. And the problem with the rest of the Panthers offense is Christian McCaffrey cannot stay healthy. One of the best running backs in the league, one of the best all-round running backs in the league, a guy who will get you, 1,000 yards on the ground, get you close to 1,000 yards through the air, a guy who does everything on the field for you on offense, but he might be done. Let me see how old he is here. He's only 26 years old. All right, 26 years old. He is heading into his 6th NFL season, and he's only played 10 games the last 2. So, and again, going along with that fantasy subject as far as looking at guys that you're going to put on your draft board, to go early in a fantasy draft. A couple of years ago, McCaffrey goes number 1. Now, you might have McCaffrey on the board for a while. You may be able to get him as a prospect, as a kind of, prove it guy. Only played in 7 games last year, scored 1 touchdown, scored 2 rushing receiving touchdowns last year. And that's 2 seasons removed from leading the league with 19 rushing receiving touchdowns. So you kind of got the situation with Christian McCaffrey with the Panthers as the Saints do with Michael Thomas. 2 years ago, 2019, Michael Thomas is the offensive player of the year for what he did as far as receiver for the Saints. I don't know if he's going to be on the field too much here in 2022. I don't know if he can make a full recovery. I'm the same way with McCaffrey. I don't know. Can he make a full recovery? Is he going to be able to stay on the field? And that's a problem for the Panthers because, again, if you don't have a quarterback, you better be able to run the football. And it looks like the Panthers, without McCaffrey, don't have the guys they need to run the ball. Let's see who else they got at running back. John Lovett, he's a rookie. Chuba Hubbard, who did run fairly effectively last year, but he sure as hell isn't Chris McCaffrey. So, you're going to end up relying on Chuba Hubbard, I think, quite a bit in the Carolina backfield. At wide receiver, Robbie Anderson was talking, I know a couple of weeks ago, he was talking about retiring. Robbie Anderson hasn't been effective since he went to Carolina. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons why everybody thought Sam Darnold might be able to pick it up again last year was because he was going to be reteamed with Robbie Anderson. Didn't happen. So you got DJ Moore there in Carolina all alone. DJ Moore and a lot of prospects. I'm looking down at the Panthers roster right now, and I don't see anybody who's able to step up. That's going to be able to step up for that team. Look at tight end. And their best tight end is Ian Thomas. this is not a good situation for your offense. I don't know how the Panthers think they're going to compete with this offense. I think as far as the Falcons go, I think the Falcons sweep the Panthers this year. I don't think there's any way the Panthers can stay in a game against the Falcons. I think the Falcons are a ton more talented than the Panthers right now. And that's what question marks on the Falcons roster. But the Falcons are much more talented than the Panthers are right now. And I don't see Carolina winning more than 3 or 4 games next year. And again, that goes with Larry Orange saying, 5 games before Rule gets the axe. Well, we'll see about that. I think Larry's kind of on it. Wallace Smith, I did bring up Cliff Kingsbury. I think Carolina head coach is safe. They've had a lot of injuries down the stretch. Yes, they have. Wallace, they have, except not as much in 2020. They've lost some games that they shouldn't have lost. Let's see, last year, the Cardinals going down the stretch. Lost to the Seahawks at home. Lost to the Colts. Just before the Colts began their big collapse last year, I think the Cardinals were their last victory of the season. They lost to the Detroit Lions in Detroit. Lost to the Rams, but yeah, you could say they were hurt. But again, I don't think the Cardinals are very sold on Cliff Kingsbury. And I might expect him to be on the hot seat this year. Especially if that team starts falling apart in the latter part of the season in November, December, like they did last season. I don't see why. Carolina does have a defense. They will play defense against you. They were 9th in third down percentage. They were, 8th in defensive rushing yards per attempt. So, however, even though they were at the top of their game as far as defensive quarterback ranking, did not turn those into sacks and interceptions as much as you would think. It was 16th in creating negative pass plays last year. So, considering how well you played as far as passer rating and defensive net yards per attempt, which they were 8th. They only gave up 5.3 yards per attempt last year. So, that's a defense you can count on. However, they have lost some big names on that defense. They have lost, where is the name? Lost Hassan Reddick. Their top sack artist last year. So did lose. Yeah, lost Hassan Reddick. They stole Brian Burns, but Brian Burns is on his own now. They do not have a strong inside game. I don't like, they do have Derek Brown. Derek Brown might be able to play well against the run on the inside. But I don't look at him as bolstering the Panthers' pass rush on the inside. Daquan Jones, how well is he going to play? They picked him up He's 30 years old, but still capable of playing solid football. So are you going to have, I don't like the middle of their defense. I'm not sold on their linebackers. They lost Stephon Gilmore last year. Stephon Gilmore, they picked up in a trade early in the season because after they started 3-0, they thought they were going to be a playoff team and went nowhere after picking up Stephon Gilmore. So, and now lost Gilmore, I think, to the Eagles, if I'm correct. And if I'm not, somebody correct me, because Dave isn't here to correct me. So that's one of the problems I have here. I don't have Dave here to kind of put the train back on the track and say, hey, Tom, you got that wrong. So if I do get something wrong, put it in the comments. Let me know. So overall, again, looking at the NFC South as a whole, Tampa, to me, not only wins the South, but is a Super Bowl contender again. If Tom Brady plays like Tom Brady. Did a great job filling their holes. Did a great job picking up guys to bolster where they lost players. Basically, one guy I can tell you right now, Akeem Hicks, who I loved with the Chicago Bears the last 3 seasons, is going to be a monster in the middle, especially teamed with Vita Vea. And it's going to be a tough defense to run on again. Because Akeem Hicks is a tough player, gets it. And I really like what Tampa's done as far as strengthening their team again. But I will say this. Blaine Gabbert starts at quarterback for any extended period of time next year with Tampa, that thing comes apart. It's done. They may not make the playoffs. Who makes the playoffs? Let's put it this way. Do the Buccaneers have enough to make the playoffs even if Blaine Gabbert is their quarterback? To me, I've always used Blaine Gabbert as my definition of bad quarterback. He's always been the adjective I use to describe bad quarterback play. A quarterback was particularly Gabbertian for a certain game because of the way he played. As I say, Blaine Gabbert, if he's another reason why I say great athletes don't always translate into great football players. Sometimes they don't even translate into good football players. If you went to the football gods and said, make me a quarterback, Blaine Gabbert might be physically what they come back with. A guy 6'5", 235, so got great size, strong, can move in the pocket. He has a strong arm. Can't hit a wide open wide receiver, but he has a strong arm. So do all these parts come together in Tampa if Blaine Gabbert is your quarterback because Tom Brady kind of got caught by Father Time or Tom Brady got injured. And at that point, as I say, who comes out with this NFC South? It's a tough one. Can the Buccaneers win the NFC South just on defense and a terrible quarterback? It might come down to that. If, as I say, if Brady, slips at any point. I think Atlanta finishes second in the division next year. I think this is a team that's taking a step forward. I like what the Falcons have done this offseason. I like who they've picked up. I like their draft. I think they filled some of the holes that existed on this team. Again, I think Terry Fontenot was very patient, filling some of the holes on this team. And I like how he handled himself in this last draft. This is going to be another year of Arthur Smith on the sideline being able to implement his offense. I don't know how well he will be able to implement that offense with Marcus Mariota. But I mean, look at Marcus Mariota, second overall pick. Jameis Winston, first overall pick in the same draft, and they're going to be in the same division again this year. So it's going to make for a very interesting season, especially since they both face each other in week one. New Orleans Saints come to Atlanta, and let's fill up the Mercedes-Benz Dome, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and for that game, because I think that's going to be a heck of a game. I think it's a game the Falcons could win. And actually, I look at this schedule, and I think compared to the Saints, I think the Falcons can finish second in this division. I'm not sold on the Saints. And I'll keep saying that all offseason, through July, through August, into the season. I'm not sold on the Saints. All right. The Saints got to play 3 division opponents to start the season with. I think they lose to the Falcons, lose to the Bucs, beat the crap out of the Panthers, because I think everybody's going to be beating the crap out of the Panthers. But it's not necessarily an easy road for the New Orleans Saints this year. And I don't think they come through the season completely healthy on offense. And I don't know if their defense plays as well as they did last year. That defense carried that team last year. I don't think they've done enough on offense to bring that team back to a playoff competitor. Now, saying that the Falcons could beat the Saints in the division, not saying the Falcons are going to be a playoff competitor. The Falcons still have to prove that they can beat teams over 500 when they face them, and not get blown out by teams over 500 when they face them. That's a measure of success that we'll be looking for this following, in the 2022 season. What are the Falcons going to do when they face a winning football team? Can they show more competitiveness? Can they show a lot more fire, an ability to compete next year? Because I'm not so sure the Saints have the ability to compete. I know Carolina doesn't have the ability to compete. So it's, going through our tour of the NFC South the last couple of weeks, I like where the Falcons sit in this division. And I like the way the Falcons have set themselves up for the future. It's going to be interesting to see if they can, does Mariota come through at quarterback? I don't think he comes through at quarterback. I think he's a good stopgap. The question is, does question is, can they find a quarterback in the next couple of seasons? That's what it's going to come down to. We're just about out of time today on Atlanta Sports Unlimited. I do want to remind you to subscribe to the channel. There's a lot of great sports content on here, as far as Falcons, as far as Braves, University of Georgia, Atlanta Hawks. So you got plenty of great content here on Atlanta Sports Unlimited. Subscribe to the channel. Remember that our sponsor is the show sponsor. The channel sponsor is Prize Picks. Use the code ASU for Prize Picks. They will match $100 of your first deposit. And you can actually start making NFL prop bets right now. They do have NFL bets up. You can make prop bets on a lot of other sports too, if you want. If you're into gaming, you can make prop bets on gaming. You can make prop bets on just about anything in Prize Picks. So, sign up for Prize Picks, use code ASU, and support the show. If you enjoy the content on the channel, support the show. And again, been great being with you again today. I know we crashed the show a couple of times today. Forgive me for that. Dave normally drives this show. You know that. And does a great job of driving this show. He will be back next week. I'm looking forward to having him back. But until then, I do appreciate all of you who stayed with me today. Even though, again, we kind of jumped the tracks a couple of times, but I do appreciate everybody staying with me today. And look forward to seeing you all next week. And have a great week. Have a great 4th of July holiday, everyone.